Backpack or no pack, a brand born in the streets and loyal to the streets. Last year, I was at LAX waiting to get aboard my flight to head back to Seattle. When I was waiting in line to board the flight, I saw 6 different groups of people. I swear to God, all wearing apparel and backpacks by this one brand. I was kind of shocked. I was like, damn, this brand is really popping off. The Backpack Boyz have really started to make waves in the cannabis industry over the last 2 to 3 years. The Backpack Boyz have slowly become one of my favorite cannabis brands in the entire industry and the market. This high design episode is going to briefly cover the leadership, the story of the Backpack Boyz, but mainly focus on analyzing why the Backpack Boyz have been so successful and some of the business and marketing strategies they've utilized. This is the first episode in the High Design Quick Pack series, which just means it's going to be a shorter high design episode. But anyways, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and let us know who do you want us to cover next. This is the HD Quick Pack series. The Backpack Boyz are the streets. At least the brand embodies much of trapper culture. And there definitely is some similarities with cookies and runts. One of the similarities that all 3 of them have is they all have a cult-like following. But when it comes to the younger generation of trappers around the country in the last couple years, it seems that the Backpack Boyz have become really a go-to brand for many. The main reason I really brought up cookies and runts in comparison with the Backpack Boyz is all 3 have beloved cannabis, but really when it comes to the apparel and clothing, all 3 of these brands are popping off. When you see cannabis brands that have extremely successful apparel, it's one of the best indicators of truly how valuable or how much weight is there to the brand equity of that brand. Now, brand equity also equates to brand loyalty, and with cannabis, brand loyalty has been a really tough thing to build. But the Backpack Boyz have absolutely done that. While they are famously known for strains like Black Cherry Gelato, I think it's super smart of them to have a brand name that isn't based off of a strain like cookies and runts are. Now, that's not to say at this point, cookies and runts as brands are just as famous, if not more famous, than the strains themselves, so it doesn't really overshadow them. But I think in today's age, I think it's far better to have a brand name that isn't a strain. You know, that's just something to think about. You want customers to be loyal to the brand and not the strain. You want customers coming in for all of your products, not just a strain. You want people to buy into your brand's ideals, not specific products that you guys offer. Now, the perceptions of the brand and the ideals that the brand represents is really the main component of what makes a brand. The more people that want to identify with a brand and, want to be representing it by buying their products, that brand's products, well, that's at the core of building brands. And Juan Quesada, the CEO and founder of the Backpack Boyz, has been a top quality promoter and networker. And he's definitely someone that understands how to get a lot of people to buy into his vision, to buy into his brand. And it's been dope to see this all develop out. Now, Quesada and the Backpack Boyz have been brilliant when it comes to leveraging the streets and authenticity that comes with that into different business moves. But more on that later in the video. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail about Juan Quesada's upbringing because there are some dope podcasts out there like First Smoke of the Day, also the Blowing Smoke podcast, and some others which have covered a lot of Quesada's past. But I do think it's important to highlight some things about his upbringing. So, Quesada grew up in the Bay Area around the town of Pittsburgh, California. Juan Quesada was actually a former MMA fighter. And I'm not gonna lie, Juan used to smack some fools in the octagon.
Unanimous decision, Juan.
He's got it. I think he's got it. He's out. And that was it. Impressive win by Juan Quesada.
His official record in MMA fights was 4-2. And while Juan had always been selling weed, in 2016, he linked up with Bully Wiz. Now, Bully Wiz, if you're not aware, he's a rapper, an entrepreneur, and he's now, I believe, he's part of the Backpack Boy leadership. And in 2016, when they met around through 2017, Bully and Quesada, or Juan, launched their cannabis syrup company, which was called Treeline. While Treeline didn't necessarily pop off like maybe they wanted it to, it definitely showcases as a precursor to not only the friendship between Bully Wiz and Juan Quesada, but also their understanding and ability to build cannabis brands. Now, later in 2017, Juan would have logos made for the BackPack Boyz brand. The name Backpack Boyz.
As far as the name, at the time, I would always have a backpack, bro, because I was into MMA, like really tough. Fought professionally, fought a lot of amateur fights and all that. But I used to always run around with my backpack. I would have, because I'd have to cut weight. I was, I had my fight camps and little shit like that. So I wouldn't be able to just eat anything. I would always need spare clothes or, shit to shower in for after I get off the mat, little shit like that. So I'm always running around with my backpack all the time. So then my boy that I was around, it kind of rubbed off on him. He would always run around with his backpack with the shit that he would need for throughout the day. And then so finally came down to like, yo, what we gonna call this? And so I asked him, like, yo, like, what's gonna be our name? This, that, and he just looked at me hella simple, bro, and was like, what you mean, bro? Backpack Boyz. I'm like, Backpack Boyz? He like, yeah, fool, like, we always gotta backpack some we them boys. Like, it was just like, I thought it was kind of funny how he spit out with that, but then I just looked at him and he said that, I'm like, yo, you right. Like, you right, I could fuck with that.
Damn, that's the origins of Backpack Boyz, the name.
It was just like that. Like I'm talking about, it was just like random color, like how we chilling right now. I'm like, yo, fool, like, what we gonna call that shit? And like, he just, like right off the hip, like, bro, like, what you mean, bro? Backpack Boyz. I'm like, Backpack Boyz. Like, yeah, bro, we always got our backpacks and we them boys. And I was just like, done. Like, you right. I ain't got shit to say to that.
So the Backpack Boyz started off as a California Prop 215 delivery service in 2017. And according to the first Smoke of the Day podcast that they did with Juan, he explained that he got set up with a legal Prop 215 delivery service and he had to pay a lawyer around like $4,200. But while the Backpack Boyz brand started to emerge, obviously in 2017, it wouldn't be until 2019, right around the start of the pandemic, really 2020, that things would start to heat up, when the Backpack Boyz brand really started to pop off. So, like I said earlier, Juan and his partners, like Bully Wiz, have been super effective in networking and growing the Backpack Boyz community. Now, I just gotta keep highlighting this. One of the hardest things to do is to build brand, and building brand is creating a brand that represents ideals. It represents, certain perceptions, certain characteristics, and you want a large amount of people to identify with those brand guidelines, with those brand ideals. And the Backpack Boyz have been absolutely amazing at this. Now, I don't know what specific year this was, but it could have been around 2019, 2020. But Juan would link up with someone by the name of Jay Wu, who is one of the owners of 5 Points LA. A little later, after Juan and Jay Wu linked, they would enter into a partnership between 5 Points LA and the Backpack Boyz, and they would work together to release new strains and cannabis flavors together. Big shouts out to 5 Points LA, by the way. But from 2020 to now, the Backpack Boyz operations in the recreational markets in the US have started to rapidly grow. Really though, 2021 was the big year for them. In March of 2021, the Backpack Boyz would open their first store in Los Angeles, where they did some absolutely ridiculous numbers in sales the first couple of days it was open. Not only were they starting to sell cannabis out of their store, but also a ton of their apparel and obviously backpacks. Now, later in 2021, around October, the Backpack Boyz store in Long Beach officially opened, where, just like the other store, they did a ridiculous amount of sales in the first few days being open. Only a couple months later, in December of 2021, the Backpack Boyz would open their third store down in San Diego. So, as y'all can see, 2021 was a massive year for the Backpack Boyz. Now, in 2022, I believe they just opened up a merch store in Oakland, and I think later this year they will be opening a Backpack Boyz store in Detroit. Also, by the way, I think Detroit and the Backpack Boyz brand, and I think it lines up really well, just like the Backpack Boyz brand really lines up really well with New York. And anyway, we'll get to that a little later on. Now, 2021 definitely was the year that the Backpack Boyz really established themselves in the recreational market, with them opening up 3 stores. But I think it's important to note that there was an insane amount of momentum building up that the Backpack Boyz brand had been accruing from 2017 to 2020. Momentum that was built in the streets. Now, if you haven't seen the Runts High Design episode that I did about 6-7 months ago, definitely go check that out. But if you did, I talked about in that video, I discussed how Runts, and more specifically Young LB and his team, were running street campaigns around the country to promote the Runts strain and brand. Now, like I said earlier, the streets is really where the Backpack Boyz brand was crafted. The street campaigns to promote the Backpack Boyz brand around the country have definitely paid off. I mean, after I started this YouTube channel 2.5 years ago, I've been able to talk to folks from all over the country, almost every single state. And in many parts of the US, my homies are saying, we love the Backpack Boyz. Whether it's the East Coast in New York or Florida in the South. Now, like I mentioned earlier, something that Quesada or Juan and his team have been absolutely amazing at is having fans/customers from all over the country, and at this point, the world, buy into the Backpack Boyz brand, want to, identify with that brand and show the rest of the world, hey, we identify with the Backpack Boyz. In the long term, I believe that the Backpack Boyz will have a far easier time expanding into different states and new markets, given the groundwork that was done the last 3 or 4 years. The cult following of the Backpack Boyz is very, very real. There's 2 major indicators of this that started to occur in 2021. The first thing being the proliferation of knockoff Backpack Boyz cannabis bags. I mean, wherever you walk, you're seeing tons of these, fake Backpack Boyz cannabis packaging, right? You can buy them online, all that. And so when people start to use fake packaging and sell cannabis under your brand's name, well, your shit's popping, right? Now, the second major indicator that this cult is very real is when folks are flying into LA from all over the country just to cop your apparel and cannabis. Now that I think about it, when I saw all those different groups of people rocking Backpack Boyz apparel on my flight back to Seattle, I think that was around the same time their LA store had their grand opening. But yeah, if people are flying from all over the country just to come to your grand opening, well, those people have truly identified and bought into the brand. We've seen the same thing happen to Burner and the Cookies brand when he was and will continue to open more stores around the country. I mean, it does shock me. I mean, people are driving from halfway across the country, all types of crazy stuff, right? Anyway, I call them the Cookies cult, but the Backpack Boyz cult is definitely very real, and it's getting bigger and bigger by the day. And I think really, when it comes to trappers from all around the country, all around the world, I definitely think that they, identify with the BackPack Boyz brand and the authenticity that comes with that. Now, one thing that I think is super dope, but also really smart of Juan, is that he stayed really, really tapped in with underground, gutter rappers and musicians in not just LA, but other cities and states all over the country. I swear I've seen at least 10 plus different rappers have BackPack Boyz gear in their videos, or mention, name drop BackPack Boyz. And it's perfect because, like I said, now for the third or fourth time, the BackPack Boyz brand was crafted in the streets. Being tapped into the streets means you're tapped into the local culture and the underground rappers, especially in LA and the Bay. Those are big components of the culture there, the music. Now, that's not to say that some major celebrities haven't started to mess with the BackPack Boyz. Last year in 2021, NBA legend Scottie Pippen actually did a collab cannabis drop in partnership with the BackPack Boyz and 5 Points LA. I gotta say, whoever told Scottie Pippen to do that collaboration obviously knows what's going on and understands the true authenticity and potential for the BackPack Boyz brand. It's gonna be really interesting to see if they do any more celebrity limited edition collab drops in the near future. Definitely think that, as they get more and more popular, there's gonna be more and more opportunities like that. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they deal with that. Now, something that has become completely obvious to me after doing research and just observing Juan, he's definitely a natural leader. Like I say in almost every single high design episode, the importance of building a high quality team around you as the entrepreneur is critical if you want to succeed. And it seems like Quesada has done an amazing job when it comes to that. The more I do research and the more observing I do, you can tell a lot of people look up to Quesada. And I think he's someone who really does care about his people. Now, I've always said, if you want to really build a valuable cannabis brand, you need to build that cannabis brand from within the culture and not from the outside of it, like we see with the influx of many of these corporate cannabis companies. Shout out to the homies at the First Smoke of the Day podcast. Seriously, this clip I'm about to show y'all from their interview with Juan Quesada is absolutely the epitome of why the BackPack Boyz are one of my favorite brands and why they are going to continue to make their brand more and more valuable over time. Check it out.
And I would say the biggest street brand in the rec market, if not to say, you know what I mean? So
I always from the jump knew that that's where I wanted to target was the streets, because that's what I most identify with.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, bro, the streets influences everything.
Yeah, like starts there first, right?
It influences everything, and that's always where I felt most comfortable at. I mean, and that's another thing that I feel about, like with some of the chatty brands that come in that think they're gonna just sweep shit away. They don't understand about people like you and I, right? It's like, bro, I could go into the places that you go into, and I could still thrive, and I could still do what you do. You can't go to the places that I can go to and do what I do. Like, you can't. So like, I feel like we got that advantage, like no matter what, like, you know what I mean? So you could come in here with your billions and this and that, and like, yeah, like we got our shit established too. You know what I mean? But we don't got like that type of corporate shit behind us, but like we're doing good. And like I said, I feel where we don't got that, we got what I was just telling you to make up for that. Like, I don't know. And you, no matter how much money, you can't buy that.
Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this high design quick pack episode on the BackPack Boyz. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see the growth of the BackPack Boyz brand over the next few years. Like I said at the beginning, the BackPack Boyz have become one of my favorite cannabis brands in the industry. Big shouts out to Juan Quesada, Bully Wiz, and the whole BackPack Boyz and 5 Points LA family. The future is looking extremely bright for them. If you like this video, please let us know down below in the comments, who do you want us to cover next? Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, comment, and share. And follow me on all the socials, links in the description down below. backpack or no pack. Anyways, this is LMC signing out.